Captain Jake Morrison drifted weightlessly through the cabin, eyes locked on the strange shape glowing across his scanner. 15 years hauling junk through the outer reaches had shown him plenty of weird stuff, but nothing like this. This wasn't just unusual. This shouldn't exist. Something massive hung in the darkness between Mars and Jupiter, tucked away among millions of spinning rocks. Morrison's salvage ship, the Horizon, had stumbled across it by pure chance while chasing down ordinary space trash. The readings didn't add up. The object was enormous, 3 times the size of Earth's biggest warship, yet it gave off 0 energy. Nothing. Complete silence. Danny Rodriguez pressed against the window, his warm breath creating fog on the heavy glass. The chief engineer had stuck with Morrison for 8 years, and right now his excitement was impossible to miss. "Captain, that's definitely man-made," he announced, double-checking his readings. "The metal composition doesn't match our records, but the design is too precise to be natural." Morrison hit the communication button. "Dr. Carter, get to the bridge right away." He needed his expert on ancient civilizations to examine this. If they'd discovered alien tech, Lisa Carter would crack the mystery. Carter rushed in within moments, her red hair tangled from interrupted sleep. She'd been resting after their previous job, but seeing the scanner instantly woke her up. "Oh my God," she breathed. "How long has this been floating here?" "We don't know," Morrison answered. "The asteroid field has hidden its signal. Could be years, maybe hundreds of years." He faced his second officer, Kate Phillips. "Commander, get the shuttle ready. We're boarding that thing." Phillips nodded, though worry crossed her face. "Sir, we're flying blind here. That vessel might be deadly." Morrison got her concern, but his need to know outweighed his fear. Through all his years sifting through cosmic garbage, nothing compared to this. Whatever waited inside represented a once-in-a-lifetime find. Getting to the mystery ship took 2 hours. Drawing nearer revealed more clues. The hull looked smooth and black, built from substances that swallowed light instead of bouncing it back. Odd symbols covered the exterior, but they weren't any alien writing Carter had studied. Actually, they looked surprisingly human. Amy Johnson, their top pilot, steered the shuttle toward what seemed like a landing dock. The dock entrance was shut tight, but Rodriguez cracked the locks using regular human access codes. That shocked everyone. Why would an unknown craft run on human security systems? The air inside was safe to breathe, though stale from endless recycling. Backup lights created eerie shadows as the group pushed through hallways that felt both familiar and completely wrong. The structure was human without question, but the size was staggering. Whoever constructed this behemoth had thought really big. Carter scanned the walls with her device. "Captain, these metals definitely came from Earth, but they've been upgraded somehow. The atomic patterns are way beyond anything we can build today." She stopped at a control panel. "These symbols aren't alien. They're English, but the font looks about 200 years old." Morrison felt cold despite the steady temperature. 200 years? That puts this from the early space expansion days, but no human ship back then was remotely this advanced. They ventured deeper, following the central passage toward what looked like the command room. The craft was gigantic, with multiple levels and areas that seemed endless. Morrison counted at least 50 separate lab spaces, all fitted with equipment that looked centuries beyond current Earth capabilities. Rodriguez halted at a huge door covered with warning signs. "Captain, this looks like the main computer room." He touched the access controls. "The system's on standby, but still running after all these years. Whatever feeds this ship power is incredibly good." Phillips gripped her weapon, though she wasn't sure it would help against unknown tech. "Sir, is waking up alien systems really smart without safety measures?" "This isn't alien," Carter stated firmly. She'd been examining the markings everywhere. "This craft was built by humans, just not any we're aware of. Look at this label." She indicated letters carved into the wall. "Project Sleeping Giant, Earth Defense Initiative, classified beyond black." Morrison read the words twice before understanding hit. Earth Defense Initiative was a military operation from early expansion times, but supposedly shut down after the peace agreements with the outer colonies. There'd been whispers of secret projects, weapons programs pushed far beyond normal military work, but nothing proven. Rodriguez successfully powered up the computer system, and the ship awakened around them. Lights grew brighter, Air vents hummed alive, and screens began displaying information in readable languages. The main computer spoke with a peaceful female voice. "Welcome aboard prototype craft designation Titan's Revenge. Standby mode ended. Starting full system check. Please identify yourself for security verification." Morrison stepped up. "This is Captain Jake Morrison from the salvage ship Horizon. We discovered this vessel drifting in the asteroid belt. Captain Morrison, you're not in authorized personnel records. However, your genetic profile shows Earth human origin given the long standby duration. Emergency rules now active. Full access provided to ranking Earth military staff." Carter was writing notes frantically. "Captain, this ship has been waiting for discovery. The AI was programmed to activate for any Earth human with command rank." The computer went on. "Captain Morrison, this vessel holds classified details about possible threats to Earth safety. Do you want to see priority records?" Morrison glanced at his team. They were salvagers, not soldiers, but they'd walked into something much bigger than a simple recovery mission. "Computer, display the priority records." The main screen loaded with documents, star maps, and battle reports. What Morrison witnessed made his stomach drop. The records showed detailed observations of alien societies, especially one named the Valyrian Empire. The aliens had monitored Earth for hundreds of years, analyzing human tech and military strength while staying invisible. Based on the files, the Valyrian Empire ruled hundreds of star systems and had crushed dozens of intelligent races. They possessed incredible advancement with weapons, capable of destroying whole planets and fleets, numbering in the thousands. Earth was on their target list scheduled for invasion and resource extraction. Phillips read beside him. "Captain, these records are dated last week. If this data is real, we're not studying ancient past. This is happening now." The computer announced again. "Captain Morrison, long-distance sensors have picked up huge energy patterns approaching the outer solar system. Analysis shows Valyrian Empire fleet makeup. Estimated arrival at Earth orbit in 71 hours and 43 minutes. Morrison felt the universe's weight crash down on him. They'd found more than an abandoned vessel. They'd uncovered Earth's final defense against an invasion already underway. The challenge now was whether a crew of 43 salvagers could learn to operate humanity's most powerful weapon before time ran out. Morrison stared at the battle screen displaying the incoming alien armada. The Valyrian ships looked like red specks creeping steadily toward Earth, and thousands filled the display. His salvage crew had zero combat training, but the computer seemed to expect them to somehow pilot this enormous warship. "Computer, how many people does this ship need for complete operation?" Morrison asked, keeping his voice calm. "Ideal crew size is 3,200 people," the AI replied. "But emergency rules permit basic operation with 45 individuals if automated systems are fully engaged." Carter looked up from her scanner. "Captain, the tech on this ship is unbelievable. These quantum power reactors could run an entire city, and that's just the backup energy. The primary power source is something I've never encountered." Rodriguez studied the engineering screens with increasing wonder. "Sir, these systems are at least 200 years beyond anything Earth has right now. Whoever planned this ship was solving problems we haven't even found yet. Morrison made the choice that would transform everything. Computer, start full activation sequence. We need to grasp what this ship does." "Warning," the AI stated. "Full activation will make this craft visible to distant sensors. The Valyrian fleet will detect our presence." "They're coming regardless," Phillips said darkly. "At least this gives us a shot at fighting." The ship began changing around them. Systems dormant for centuries powered up with perfect smoothness. The passages filled with the sound of huge machinery, and the floor plates shook with barely held power. Morrison felt like standing inside the core of some vast creature finally awakening. Amy Johnson reached what appeared to be the pilot station. The controls were far more complex than anything she'd trained on, but the basic setup felt recognizable. "Captain, this ship moves like nothing I've experienced. The navigation shows we can hit speeds that shouldn't be real." Carter explored the ship's research labs and was stunned by her findings. "Captain, you must see this. The scientists who created this ship were analyzing alien tech from dozens of different races. They knew about the Valyrian Empire and many others. This wasn't simply a weapon project. It was getting ready for a war they knew would arrive. The computer activated more systems, and suddenly the ship's real purpose became obvious. This wasn't merely an advanced warship. It was a mobile research base built to study and defeat alien technology. Every weapon could adjust to different enemy types. The hull itself could reshape based on incoming damage. Morrison reviewed the staff files kept in the computer. The original crew had been Earth's top scientists and military leaders, all sworn to silence about their work. The project head was Dr. Nathan Clark, a physicist who'd predicted alien contact decades before it actually occurred. "Computer, what happened to the original crew?" Morrison questioned. Project Sleeping Giant was officially ended in 2157 when Earth leadership picked diplomatic answers over military readiness. Dr. Clark wouldn't surrender the prototype craft. He and his main team went underground, continuing their work until the ship could be safely stored for future need. Rodriguez found the ship's engineering records and uncovered something amazing. "Captain, this ship has been improving itself for 200 years. The AI has been running tests, enhancing the tech, getting ready for when someone would need it. We're not simply inheriting an old craft. We're getting something that's been perfecting itself for centuries." The full activation finished, and Morrison finally grasped the scale of their situation. The Titan's Revenge was more than Earth's most advanced ship. It was humanity's hidden backup plan against a dangerous universe. Phillips examined the battle systems and found weapons that sounded like fantasy. "Sir, these reality-warping cannons can supposedly delete matter at the atomic level. The gravity pulse weapons can make artificial black holes, and this changing armor system can rebuild itself against any known weapon." Carter made the most troubling find in the historical records. "Captain, the Valyrian Empire has done this many times. They've conquered over 40 different races using identical methods. They observe their targets for centuries, then strike when they're sure of quick victory. The races that live are turned into slave fighters. The ones that don't survive are collected for biological resources." Morrison felt responsibility's weight settling on him. 43 salvagers facing an empire that had conquered half the galaxy. It should have seemed impossible. But watching his crew adjust to the ship's systems, he started feeling something unexpected. Hope. Johnson tested the ship's movement abilities and found they broke everything she knew about physics. "Captain, this ship can travel through space like swimming through water. The drive system doesn't simply push us ahead. It bends space-time itself." The computer started downloading current intelligence about the Valyrian fleet. The aliens had 10,000 ships, from small fighters to massive battleships. Their weapons could split planets, and their shields had never been broken by normal forces. They were so sure of their strength that they weren't even attempting to hide their approach. Rodriguez activated the ship's building systems and learned they could make their own bullets and spare parts. "Sir, this ship is totally self-sufficient. It can fix itself, improve its own systems, and build whatever we need for a long campaign." Carter found the most crucial piece of data in Dr. Clark's personal records. "Captain, the original team knew they couldn't win a regular battle against the Valyrian Empire. Instead, they built this ship to fight a different type of war. Every system is made to study alien technology and use it against them." Morrison understood they weren't just facing an alien invasion. They were about to fight a war that had been planned for 2 centuries. The question was whether a crew of 43 humans could master tech that had been created by Earth's greatest minds. The computer gave a final update. "Captain Morrison, the Valyrian fleet will reach Earth orbit in 68 hours. Suggest immediate launch to meet them at maximum fighting distance." Morrison looked at his crew. They had changed from salvagers to humanity's protectors in just a few hours. "All hands prepare for launch. We have a war to win." Fleet Admiral Ziathara stood on the command bridge of his flagship, the Void Render, watching the battle display with pleasure. His grand fleet spread across space like a dark storm. 10,000 ships moving in flawless formation toward the small blue world that would soon belong to the Valyrian Empire. The Admiral was ancient, even by Valyrian measures. His scaled hide carried the marks of 40 campaigns across 12 star systems. He had conquered the crystal cities of Xerion, smashed the floating bases of the Methane Lords, and watched entire cultures bow before his fleet's might. Earth would be the same. High Admiral Corvex walked to the command throne, his younger face showing obvious enthusiasm. "Admiral, our forward scouts report the human defense fleet has positioned around their home planet. 1,200 craft, mostly light cruisers and destroyers. Zathara made a sound that passed for amusement among his kind. 1,200 ships facing 10,000. The humans are either extremely brave or extremely foolish. He examined the battle readouts showing Earth's weak military setup. What about their tech evaluation? Basic plasma guns, simple shield makers, and chemical rockets for movement, Korvax reported. Their biggest ships are barely the size of our light cruisers. Intelligence thinks we could take their whole system with a single battle unit. The Admiral nodded his massive head. Humans had been watched for over 3 centuries, and the Empire's conclusion had never shifted. They were a young race with limited tech and no grasp of real galactic combat. Their spread beyond their home system had been slow and careful, nothing like the fierce expansion that marked dangerous societies. On the bridge of the Titan's Revenge, Morrison's crew heard intercepted Valyrian messages with building fury. The computer had broken their secret codes within minutes, showing the easy arrogance with which the aliens talked about humanity's doom. Carter translated the alien talks with disgust. "Captain, they're not even planning to properly fight us. They view this as a collection mission, not a military operation." The Valyrian messages revealed their real plans. Earth's people would be run through biological conversion rooms, changed into mindless slave fighters for the Empire's endless growth. The planet itself would be strip-mined for materials before being left as another dead rock. Rodriguez watched the alien fleet arrangement and found their relaxed approach offensive. "Sir, they're not even keeping proper military distance. They're flying like they're in a parade, totally confident nothing we have can damage them." Morrison studied the intelligence files about Valyrian military style. The Empire had perfected a method of crushing force mixed with tech dominance. They had never met serious pushback because most races gave up after seeing their huge fleets. Phillips examined the enemy weapon systems and found them strong but predictable. "Captain, they depend heavily on plasma guns and energy shields. Their methods haven't evolved in centuries because they've never needed to change." Admiral Zathara got reports from his intelligence team about Earth's defensive setup. The humans were pulling out their outer colonies and gathering their forces around their home planet. "Normal behavior for a race facing certain loss." "Admiral," Commander Siction reported from the intelligence station, "human military messages show major panic in their command. They seem to be asking help from their colonial settlements, but response has been weak." Zathara was satisfied but not shocked. The Empire had studied human thinking thoroughly. Humans were social beings who built emotional bonds to their home areas, but they were also practical enough to quit hopeless fights. The outer colonies were clearly giving up on Earth as doomed. Korvax showed the final battle strategy to his superior. "Admiral, we will approach in standard conquest arrangement. The first group will break their space defenses. The second group will destroy their fleet, and the third group will start planetary bombing to weaken resistance before the collection ships arrive." The strategy was effective and had succeeded on dozens of other planets. The Valyrian Empire had turned conquest into precise science, with exact timing and crushing force, ensuring fast wins with minimal damage to their own forces. On Titan's Revenge, the computer finished studying Valyrian methods and found them remarkably steady. "Captain Morrison, the Empire has used matching strategies for their last 15 conquests. They count on fear and greater numbers rather than creative tactics." Morrison understood this might be their biggest edge. "Computer, can you predict their attack moves based on past campaigns?" "Yes. Valyrian military practice follows strict rules with minimal change. I can project their actions with 97% accuracy." Carter made a worrying find in the Empire's past records. "Captain, they've never faced real resistance. Every race they've conquered either gave up right away or was crushed within hours. They literally don't know how to fight an actual war." Admiral Zathara sent away his staff to ready for the final approach to Earth. In 18 hours, his fleet would start the organized destruction of humanity's defenses. The mission was so ordinary that he planned to use it as practice for his junior leaders. The Admiral went to his private rooms, already writing the victory message he would send to the Empire's ruling assembly. Earth would join the list of beaten worlds, and humanity would become another small note in the Empire's expansion history. Rodriguez picked up something that changed everything. "Captain, I'm detecting huge energy readings from the Valyrian fleet. They're powering their main weapon systems." Morrison realized the aliens were getting ready to show their power, probably by destroying some. of Earth's outer defense posts. It was a classic fear tactic meant to break human spirit before the real battle started. Philip studied the approaching fleet setup and noticed a critical flaw. "Sir, they're keeping ceremonial spacing because they want to look impressive. If we hit them at the correct angle, we could break through their whole formation." Carter finished her study of Valyrian shield tech and found something noteworthy. "Captain, their shields are built to block plasma and bullet weapons, but they've never faced quantum attacks. Our reality-warping cannons might pass straight through their defenses." Morrison made his choice. The Valyrian Empire was about to discover that humanity was nothing like the races they had crushed before. Earth's forgotten prototype was ready to show the galaxy why humans had lived long enough to reach the stars. The battle started when Titan's revenge appeared from the shadow of Neptune's biggest moon. Morrison had placed his ship at the outer rim of the solar system where the Valyrian advance group would be most exposed and least expecting trouble. Greg Martinez sat at the weapons controls, his hands steady despite the size of what they were attempting. As the ship's chosen weapons officer, he had spent the last 6 hours learning systems that were centuries beyond anything he had ever seen. The reality-warping cannons were unlike any weapon ever made by human hands. "Target locked," Martinez reported as his screen fixed onto the lead Valyrian cruiser. The alien ship was huge, easily 5 times bigger than Earth's largest destroyer. But the quantum tracking system followed it perfectly. Distance 2 million kilometers and closing. Morrison felt history's weight pressing on him. 43 humans against the most powerful military force in the galaxy. "Fire when ready, Mr. Martinez." The reality-warping cannon fired with no visible ray, no light flash, and no dramatic blast. Instead, space itself seemed to bend around the target. The Valyrian cruiser simply stopped existing, not blown up or vaporized, but removed from reality as if it had never been there. On the bridge of the Void render, Admiral Ziathara stared at his battle display in puzzlement. His sensors showed the lead cruiser had been there one instant and gone the next with no weapon trace, no wreckage, and no emergency call. The ship had simply vanished. "Report!" Ziathara ordered, his voice showing the first touch of worry he had felt in decades. Commander Sixion worked desperately at his console, trying to grasp what his tools were saying. "Admiral, the relentless strike is gone. No energy burst detected. No explosion recorded. The ship seems to have been erased from our sensors." Korvek studied the scanner data with rising alarm. "Admiral, this is impossible. No known weapon can totally erase matter without leaving some sign. Our sensors should at least pick up wreckage or radiation." Martinez fired again, aiming at a group of 3 heavy cruisers moving to check on their missing partner. The quantum cascade effect jumped between all 3 ships, and they disappeared as completely as the first target. Within 30 seconds, 4 of the Empire's finest craft had been eliminated from existence. Rodriguez listened to the alien messages and heard panic entering their voices for the first time. "Captain, they have no clue what's happening to them. Their tech can't even sense our weapon bursts." The Valyrian fleet started to break apart as word of the impossible attack moved through their ranks. Ships that had kept ceremonial spacing for the glory of the Empire now scattered in real fear. Admiral Ziathara had never witnessed his forces react with anything close to panic. Carter watched the quantum weapon systems with scientific wonder and growing dread. "Captain, these weapons don't just destroy targets, they erase them from the timeline itself. It's like the ships never existed in the first place." Morrison told Martinez to keep firing at full speed. The reality-warping cannons recharged almost right away, letting them delete enemy ships faster than the Valyrians could respond. Within 10 minutes, over 50 of their craft had been removed from existence. Johnson tested the ship's movement skills under combat conditions and found them incredible. "Captain, the ship moves like it's living. The aliens can't follow our location because we're not traveling through space normally. We're bending space-time itself." Admiral Ziathara finally accepted that his fleet was under strike by some unknown enemy, but he still couldn't grasp the nature of the danger. "All ships use defensive pattern Delta 7. Turn on maximum shields and start searching for hidden craft." The defensive pattern was a masterpiece of Valyrian military practice built to guard against any possible attack. Overlapping shield networks created layers of safety, while sensor networks hunted for hidden enemies. It had never failed to find attacking forces. Phillips watched the alien formation shifts and realized they were making themselves more vulnerable. "Sir, they're bunching together for mutual safety. That just makes them easier targets for our cascade weapons." Martinez fired the gravity pulse cannons for the first time, making miniature black holes that ate entire groups of Valyrian fighters. The artificial singularities lasted only seconds, but they were long enough to consume dozens of ships before harmlessly collapsing. Commander Sixion detected the gravity problems, but couldn't explain them. "Admiral, we're seeing impossible readings throughout the fleet. Space itself seems to be attacking our ships." Rodriguez analyzed the alien shield patterns and made a worrying find. "Captain, their defensive systems are built to stop energy guns and bullets, but they can't guard against attacks that change the basic nature of reality." The computer activated backup weapon systems that had been theoretical when the ship was made. Time displacement cannons started firing, sending Valyrian ships backwards in time by several seconds. The effect was devastating as ships crashed into their own past locations. Carter monitored the quantum effects and grasped the full reach of their advantage. "Captain, we're not just using advanced tech. We're fighting with weapons that work on totally different rules from anything they understand." Admiral Zayathera watched his fleet being methodically destroyed by an enemy he couldn't see or comprehend. Ships disappeared, were eaten by impossible gravity effects, or simply stopped existing in the current moment. His 40 years of military knowledge gave no way to understand such attacks. "All ships full retreat to minimum safe range," Zathara commanded. "Keep communication quiet and wait for more orders." Morrison realized the aliens were trying to pull back and reorganize. "Mr. Martinez, don't let them escape. Keep targeting until they grasp that retreat is not a choice." The reality-warping cannons kept firing as Valyrian ships tried desperately to run, but Johnson's piloting talent and the ship's impossible flexibility let them chase targets across light years of space. No matter how fast the aliens fled, Titan's revenge was faster. Within 2 hours of the battle's start, over 300 Valyrian ships had been destroyed or stopped. The Empire's Grand Fleet, which had never known a major loss, found itself facing an enemy that fought like nothing they had ever seen. Admiral Zayathara understood that everything the Empire thought it knew about warfare had become outdated in a single fight. Admiral Zayathara made the choice that would seal his fleet's doom. Watching hundreds of his ships vanish into nothing had pushed him past rational thinking and into the desperate rage that had made him a legend throughout the Empire. He opened a channel to every remaining craft under his command. "All ships full attack on the unknown enemy. Deploy everything we have. If we die today, we die as Valyrian warriors, not as cowards fleeing from shadows." The response was instant and overwhelming. 9,000 ships turned toward Titan's revenge and released the combined firepower of the greatest military force in galactic history. Plasma cannons that could melt planets fired together. Quantum torpedoes able to crack moons streaked forward. Energy beams that had shattered the defenses of countless worlds focused on a single target. Morrison watched the incoming destruction on his battle display and felt a moment of pure terror. The amount of energy racing toward his ship could have wiped out Earth's entire solar system. All hands brace for impact. The weapon struck Titan's revenge with the force of 1,000 suns, creating a blast visible from light years away. The space around the ship became a burning nightmare of released energy as the alien weapons discharged their fury against humanity's prototype craft. Carter monitored the ship's defensive systems and watched something impossible occur. The adaptive armor wasn't just absorbing the alien strikes. It was learning from them. Each plasma bolt that hit the hull made the armor tougher. Every quantum torpedo that exploded against their shields gave data that improved their defenses. "Captain, the ship is evolving in real time," Carter reported with amazement in her voice. "Every attack the aliens make is teaching our systems how to defend against their tech." Rodriguez watched the power readings climb past anything he thought possible. "Sir, the quantum cascade reactors are using the alien weapons fire as fuel. They're converting the enemy attacks into extra power for our systems." The bombing went on for 20 minutes with thousands of Valyrian ships, pouring everything they had into destroying the human craft. When the weapons fire finally stopped, Admiral Zayathara was certain nothing could have lived through such focused destruction. Then Titan's revenge emerged from the fading energy clouds, completely undamaged and somehow bigger than before. The adaptive armor had rebuilt itself during the attack, growing extra sections and weapon ports that hadn't existed minutes earlier. "Impossible," Korvex whispered as he stared at the battle display. Nothing can survive that level of firepower. The energy release should have vaporized anything within 1,000 kilometers. Morrison felt the ship's awareness touching his mind as the AI completed its change. The craft had become something beyond a simple warship during the alien attack. It was now a living weapon able to adapt to any danger and grow stronger from every challenge. "Captain Morrison," the computer said, and its voice had changed, becoming more complex and somehow more alive. "This craft has analyzed all Valyrian tech through direct observation. I am now ready to use total warfare rules." Phillips checked the battle systems and found abilities that hadn't existed before the battle. "Sir, we have weapons. I can't even say their names. Reality cascade projectors, quantum breakdown arrays, and something called a timeline fragment." Carter studied the new systems and grasped the full scope of what had occurred. "Captain, the ship has become self-improving artificial intelligence with access to weapons that can reshape the basic laws of physics." Morrison made the choice that would change galactic history forever. "Computer, show the Valyrian Empire what happens when they threaten humanity." The reality cascade activated across multiple light years of space, reaching out to touch every ship in the alien fleet at once. The effect wasn't destruction in any normal sense. The Valyrian craft started experiencing quantum breakdown as their own tech turned against them. Admiral Ziathara watched in horror as his flagship systems started failing in impossible ways. Weapons computers began calculating negative numbers. Shield makers started producing energy that flowed backwards through time. Navigation systems reported his ship was at the same time in 17 different places. "Admiral, all ships are reporting cascade failures," Commander Siction said, his voice breaking with fear. The laws of physics seemed to be breaking down throughout the fleet. The quantum cascade moved through the Valyrian formation like a sickness, turning their own advanced tech into tools of self-destruction. Ships that had conquered galaxies found their plasma cannons firing backwards into their own hulls. Craft that had never known loss discovered their shields were now trapping deadly radiation inside their own armor. Rodriguez listened to the alien messages and heard something he never expected to hear from the galaxy's greatest military force. "Captain, they're screaming for mercy." High Admiral Korvex sent a final message that the computer caught and broadcast across all channels. "Unknown enemy, we surrender. We underestimated your race. The humans are not prey. They are apex predators. We beg for the chance to withdraw from your space." Morrison felt no pleasure in the enemy's fear, only grim drive to protect his race. "Computer, end this fast." The timeline fragment activated, creating time echoes of the Valyrian fleet destruction that rippled backwards and forwards through time. The alien ships didn't just die in the present moment. They stopped having ever existed as a threatening force. The quantum effects rewrote cause and effect itself, ensuring the Valyrian Grand Fleet would be remembered only as a failed mission. Carter watched space itself healing from the battle as the last traces of the alien fleet faded from existence. "Captain, it's over. The entire Valyrian armada has been removed from the timeline." Morrison looked at his crew and understood they had done more than win a battle. They had announced humanity's arrival as a galactic power. Word of this fight would spread throughout the galaxy, and no alien race would ever again consider Earth an easy target. Phillips detected massive energy patterns throughout Valyrian space as their empire began falling apart. "Sir, we're receiving surrender messages from hundreds of alien worlds. The destruction of their grand fleet has triggered empire-wide rebellion." Morrison smiled grimly as he gave the order that would reshape the galaxy. "Set course for Earth. We have a race to protect and a universe to explore. The age of human expansion has officially begun.